So as the war in Ukraine seems to enter this new phase, humanitarian aid is still very much in need. Award-winning actor Liev Schreiber, who is of Polish and Ukrainian descent, is the co-founder of BlueCheck Ukraine, a U.S.-based initiative supporting Ukrainian humanitarian organizations. He's made 3 trips to Ukraine since BlueCheck launched in March, and Liev Schreiber joins me now. Great to see you here.
Thanks for having me.
You were just glued to Melissa Bell's report from Kharkiv right now, and I know you're watching this as closely as any of us. Stunning developments the last few days.
It really is remarkable, the territory that they've been able to gain back. I mean, what we're seeing, and I mean, as you know, consistently, is that the way Russia responds to Ukraine's military advances is by striking civilian infrastructure. And so the need for humanitarian aid and support doesn't stop here. We have to keep pushing this agenda as long as they're.
I think that's a really important thing to note, even as Ukraine is enjoying some success, some remarkable success all of a sudden, it may only increase the need for the humanitarian assistance.
Yeah, I mean, that front line is around 1,200 miles long, which is approximately the distance from Atlanta to New York. So the number of casualties and wounded as a result of the fight, and now with the new offensive, both in the northeast and the south, there's even more injured. And so there's even more need, particularly for medical aid, mobile medical aid, single-use medical aid. You know, in other wars, usually limb damage is something that only happens to soldiers. But in this war, it's happening to civilians, also children. And with children, you know, they need to be refitted all the time for prosthetics and things like that. The fixators that are needed for keeping people's limbs intact while they wait for surgery, or all of this stuff is really essential. And by the way, is what's helping them and giving them a little bit of relief so that they can make advances like this.
So talk to me about BlueCheck and how the work you're doing for BlueCheck gets that need to them right where they need it.
Well, Humanitarian Outcomes, an outfit out of UK, did a report about a month ago about the aid situation in Ukraine, and about $2.6 billion have been donated to Ukraine. Unfortunately, at that time, only $6 million of that has actually been activated. So what BlueCheck does is we go directly to the NGOs and the boots on the ground people who are doing the work. We have pro bono vetting and verifying from Ropes and Gray, a law firm here in the States. And we very, very quickly find out who's doing work. Now working with the President's Platform, United 24, and the Ministry of Health, they help us to identify the NGOs that are doing effective work. And for people who want to support Ukraine, who want to give, what we do is we fast-track their support to the people who we believe are really, really doing the work.
You get it right to where it is most needed quickly. You've been there 3 times, including most recently in August. How have things changed to your eye since you've been going?
Well, one of the most alarming things that we're noticing is that a lot of the refugees have returned. So you have these big cities. There's also 6 million internally displaced Ukrainians from the shelling. So you have these big cities that are way over capacity, and many, many people who are dealing with homelessness and food crisis, shelter crisis. So those are a lot of the things that we're looking at. What I'm excited about today, and we should spend more time talking about, are the advances. I think the military and the president have been really successful about playing his cards close to his chest, so that none of us saw this coming. I think those first initial advances, a town here, a town there, were impressive, but not real news. I think what's happening in Izium and in the Northeast right now in the South is really exciting.
You think this is the real deal?
I think this is impressive. Yeah, this is really impressive to me, at least.
And you were just meeting with Zelensky last month.
I did, yes.
What can you tell us about him? What do you notice about him?
He's got a great sense of humor. I remember someone asked him, you know, there have been like 12 attempts on his life since he's been in office, and someone asked him, what's that like? Really perfect timing. In Ukrainian, well, loosely translate, he said, well, the first 3 are pretty awful, but then you get used to it. And that to me is sort of distinctly Ukrainian attitude. They're incredibly resilient, really courageous and proud people. And I'm really grateful to everyone who's supported them.
Well, Liev Schreiber, you should be proud of the work you're doing. It's making a real difference on the ground there. We applaud you for this. We know it's a real effort. We know it's close to your heart. So thanks so much for everything.
Thank you for having me.